After the Israeli attack on the Hamas operatives ensconced in Doha in Qatar, the entire Middle Eastern world is in panic. The very rich sheikdoms of the Middle East are very, very upset and apprehensive. They believe Israel has gone a bit too far and they are concerned about their safety and security. So far, they thought that their very close alliance with the United States was going to, be their safeguard against Israeli aggression. But Qatar has the biggest American base in the whole of the Middle East, perhaps in the whole of the world. It hosts the biggest American air base, and yet it was attacked. It had just recently presented a very fancy aircraft to Donald Trump, but that gift of the aircraft did not save it from the gift of the Israeli attacks on its own soil. And when that attack happened, there was a degree of unprecedented panic in the Middle East. Unprecedented panic in the Middle East. And as we saw, there was the Organization of Islamic Countries meet in Doha, in the city where the attack had taken place, saying that Israel has gone a bit too far and something has to be done to, deter Israel, prevent Israel from such blatant attacks on our sovereignty, etc., etc. And they mooted a Middle Eastern NATO, a kind of an Article 5 conglomeration of all Islamic countries in the world against Israel, primarily directed against Israel. Now, that was a non-starter from the word go. There are fault lines and dissensions in the Islamic Ummah, serious fault lines and dissension, primarily along the Shia-Sunni fault line between Iran and the Sunni Arab countries, who are very happy to see America and Israel bash Iran, right? And then, of course, Iran has its proxies, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Hamas, etc. And Saudi Arabia is almost at war with the Houthis. And Saudi Arabia does not want to get its own hands bloodied in any such fighting with the Houthis. And it wants Pakistani mercenaries. But the simple fact is, Saudi Arabia realized that an Asian Middle Eastern NATO seemed like a pipe dream. So they said, you forget the Middle Eastern NATO. We had invested in Pakistan's nuclear bomb decades ago, and now is the time to cash in on that investment. So they told Pakistan, look, we are the American protection is increasingly becoming unreliable. Donald Trump and the Netanyahu have a solid compact, and Donald Trump will sacrifice any Arab country when it comes to Israel, the security of Israel. So they said that something has to be done to ensure the security of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the KSA, and for that they suddenly recalled that they had invested in the Pakistan nuclear bomb. And now they have actually asked Pakistan to cough up, pay up, and ensure that they provide a modicum of security to Saudi Arabia against any Israeli aggression. And that means the whole thing is weighted against Israel, and Saudi Arabia wants to get Pakistan nukes, the Islamic bomb, as an insurance against any bullying by Israel, any kind of aggressive behavior by Israel. And they said, we paid you for it, now put it here. It's as simple as that. You can dress it up with all the fine diplomatic verbiage that you like, but basically it means We paid for your Islamic bomb, now deliver. We need it for our protection. We don't want to go by fancy castles in the air. Middle Eastern NATO, Islamic NATO is a non-starter. We want Pakistan to place its nuclear bombs at our disposal. Period. That is the essence of this entire, what do we call the strategic defense agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. The wording is peculiar. It is a little unlike the wording of the Indo-Soviet Friendship Treaty. We had said that should there be a threat to India or to either of the high contracting parties, they will hold mutual consultations to take steps to remove such threats. It was fairly ambiguous language. But the language put here, incidentally, is not ambiguous. It says any attack on Saudi Arabia will be treated as an attack on Pakistan and vice versa. Now, this is this wording is lethal, and though we are quite certain that when push comes to shove, Saudi Arabia is not going to come and fight for Afghanistan or send all its F-16s and whatever other aircraft it gets from the United States over for a war with India, because it has got a hell of a lot invested in India. The Saudi economy wants to diversify beyond oil. In their 2030 vision document, they have made it very clear they want to turn to renewables, they want to turn to minerals, they want to turn to tourism, trade, infrastructure, and for that they need trained Indian manpower. For that they were planning to invest $15 billion in Reliance, in refining. But then Reliance, that deal I am told hasn't worked out, because Reliance is now planning to switch to hydrogen and renewable energy sources. So the Saudis aren't very sure how long term commitment will remain of Reliance to oil, because Reliance is planning to move ahead of its oil sector and go to the renewables, go to hydrogen, and natural gas kind of a thing. So that hasn't worked out. But the simple fact is they still want to invest. If there is a go-to economy, it is the fourth largest economy of the world, India heading to be the third largest. And they will have to invest here, they will have to look for markets here, they will have to look for investments to park their investments here, They need India. And the Saudis and the Indians have an excellent relationship. I don't think they will put it at risk for any, tomfoolery that Pakistan might try to do by the next terror attack, right? But we will have to take note of this wording. We will have to take note of this wording and on our own engage the Saudis to, get certain issues clarified. But the fact of the matter is that it is a Saudi-centric deal. It is Saudi Arabia which is feeling threatened, and it is Saudi Arabia which wants the Pakistani nukes to, either some of them will be, they haven't come out in the open with what are exactly the terms of the agreement. But it does seem that they may want Pakistani nukes to be placed on Saudi Arabian soil as an insurance policy, against Israel, because they are truly worried. The way Donald Trump has dumped Qatar, there is reason for Saudi Arabia to be worried and concerned, and they are thinking that as the American debt grows, America will increasingly start pulling out its military presence from the Middle East, if not immediately, at least in the coming decades. And therefore, they would need alternative sources of security. And, one of their very old cards to play has been the Pakistani card. Don't forget, even during the Iran-Iraq war, Pakistan had offered to, come to the help of Saudi Arabia in case it got involved, right? Pakistani troops have been deployed in Saudi Arabia a number of times, and they are still there. And Rahil Sharif, ever since he retired, got himself a very lucrative job in Saudi Arabia trying to look after that. Saudi Arabia wants mercenaries to fight the Houthis. And who better than Pakistan? You see, the entire thing is that Pakistan's Field Marshal Field Marshal Asim Munir, Mullah Munir, has presidential aspirations. He thinks he is one of the greatest economic geniuses ever born. He is deeply impressed by Donald Trump, the trader president, and Mullah Munir wants to be trader-in-chief of Pakistan. Asim Munir and Sons. He's already opened that trading company. His family is already migrated to the United States. And Asim Munir is very, very clear that he is going to, enrich Pakistan. He plans to sell the oil from Baluchistan to the United States, and United States wants to sell it to India, right? He wants to sell there were the mines discovered in Baluchistan in 1993, where it is stated that there is a hell of a lot of gold, copper, tungsten, rare earths. Not 1 gram has been recovered since 1993 so far, but he's already sold it to Donald Trump. Talk of a trader president, trader in chief. Not 1 drop of oil. Exxon has been drilling in Baluchistan for decades. They have gone till 5,000 meters depth. Not 1 drop of oil they have found. Because had there been oil and all this, you think the Chinese would have left it? They've been into Baluchistan, investing into the minerals in Baluchistan for quite some time. They have been using it as a geographical corridor for their Belt Road initiative, China-Pakistan economic corridor. You think they are so dumb? But Mullah Munir, Ali Baba Chalis Chor, trader-in-chief of Pakistan, has sold that. Now he's found a new way to make money for Pakistan. New way to make money for Pakistan, sell the Pakistani nukes to Saudi Arabia for hard cash. And he is going to make Pakistan, he is convinced, into a $1 trillion economy. That's why he is telling them, I don't want a 2-year extension, minimum 5 I need, and as it is now you made me a field marshal, I'll never retire. So I want to compete with Ziaul Haq, who ruled for 11 years, and Parvez Musharraf, who ruled for 10 plus. So I want that longer tenure to turn the Pakistani economy around. A failed chief, a failed marshal, now wants to become a failed economist and sell Pakistan's crown jewel to the highest bidder. And he's just managed to sell